Hey everyone, this is Winter with the Still a Part of Us, and this is a place where moms and dads are able to share the story of their babies who were either stillborn or who died in infancy. And this is a really important place for us and an important place for us to gather as a community because even though our babies are no longer with us, they are still a part of us and they are so, so important to us. And we once again invite you to listen in on this conversation with Maude. She told a story, our story of her daughter, Clelia, and it was heart wrenching. Please listen to it when you get a chance. But um, we want to welcome her back because she is going to tell us a little bit about some things that helped her as she basically anything that might help a parent that's going through the same thing. So, Maud, once again, thank you so much for coming on. We welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just jump in. Let's talk a little bit about what that looks like for you when you were in the hospital. Give us your first bit of advice for other parents that are going through this loss.
Yeah, so these are all things I would never have thought of before I actually did
Mm,
have my stillborn baby. Obviously, these are not things when you think about when you're not in the situation. But I would say the first thing that I really appreciated was having baby clothes that were the right size for her, for
yes.
Clelia. I was lucky enough that they had some at the hospital that were donated by an association that does that on a volunteer base. But if that doesn't exist in your area, I would definitely, recommend perhaps, even asking your grandmother if she knits, if she can do something, or, just having some sort of attire that you can put on your child so that, you can welcome them with this sense of, this feels I like I'm honoring my baby. This was very helpful for me, at least I would say, to have, nice little clothes on her and that she wasn't just wrapped in a blanket or something like that. That was helpful for me.
Yeah, and just as a kind of reference, Clelia was only she was itty bitty. She was a half a pound. Is that
Yes, she was 23 weeks when she was born. That was the 23 weeks of pregnancy. So she was a teeny thing.
teeny
Yeah,
thing? So even newborn clothes would not work. Even preemie clothes,
yeah,
some preemie clothes would
yeah,
not work. And so that
exactly.
the fact that there was an organization that kind of made some smaller outfits is a kind of a that was a nice uh that's a nice little service that they provided for
Hmm.
you.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
exactly. Something else that was really great was that the hospital took pictures, which to me felt very weird. Like I,
Mhm.
I remember asking Alex because someone had given me the advice. I was like, "Can you just take a picture of two?" But I remember he was just we just felt a little uncomfortable with doing that because it didn't feel very appropriate to us.
Yeah.
But now, oh boy, am I ever happy to have those pictures. So I would say even if it feels uncomfortable, if you can make yourself do it, then you're probably going to be happy to have them.
Mhm.
Because our pictures were actually handed to us several months afterwards, the ones that were taken by the midwife at the hospital,
Mhm.
and I'm just very happy I have them. They're a very nice memory. Yeah, keepsake. Yeah.
I would like highly recommend this as well. I know that there are different services and the hospitals a lot of times are very good about trying to
Hmm.
provide some sort of service so that there's they can take pictures or something snapshots if
Hmm.
family members don't feel comfortable doing that themselves.
Hmm.
But when your kids, when your baby is alive, you get to take pictures of them the entire time
Hmm.
and you see them in front of you every single day. But when your baby is no longer with you, when they have died, then sometimes those memories are like, I need something to kind of anchor me with those memories.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be able to look back on those pictures and just remember. I know that it will be tinged with some like great sadness and that memory, but it's a precious thing. Like you said, it
Hmm.
feels weird, but it's like something we cherish considerably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, what's your next
Um,
what's your next thought?
I would definitely advise to. I guess it also depends what the hospital policy is in
Mhm.
regards to that, but try as much as you can to take your time when your baby is born. Um, just because, I mean, that's kind of a technical aspect of the thing, but when your baby's just born, that's actually before rigor mortis sets in.
Mhm.
So that's actually kind of I feel that's the nicest time to be with your baby. Personally, we were able to see our baby the next day and the day after, but that was kind of a different experience. Though it was very nice to be able to visit our baby several days until the funeral. It was still, I would say take your time for that first meeting, because there's something just very unique about that first meeting. And yeah, and I would say try not to let the hospital staff rush you if that's kind of their policy. Just try to protect this as much as you can.
Yeah. I remember you had just said that you were not totally sure how long you spent with.
I'm not sure at all,
Yeah,
actually.
but it was
I estimated something, but I could be totally off.
yeah.
So yeah. Hmm.
Well, and that's kind of the tricky thing is you just don't know. It's like the time feels really weird in the hospital,
Yeah.
and especially after you've kind of gone through this very traumatic and hard,
Yeah.
experience. And, but you guys kind of maybe spent a couple hours at the most, and so I would agree, like, as long as you can take the time, that is such a sweet and tender time to be with your baby. And a lot of times it
Exactly.
seems like, I don't know if this happened with you, but the staff like really respected our kind of privacy. They stepped out when they were all done cleaning everything up, and they just let us
Hmm.
have time together as a family, and that was really a
Hmm.
special quiet
Yeah.
time for us.
Same for us. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. That is actually something that we not very many people talk about. And so yeah, it's nice to have that time directly after the birth. So,
Hmm.
okay, let's hear what else you did.
What helped us too is they had a little, so that organization that knitted the little outfit, they also had a keepsake that was like a matched heart. So one heart went with Clelia in her casket, and the other one stayed with us, and that was
Oh,
kind of a nice thing to have too. Just this kind of little heart that we both have.
yeah.
That was something we appreciated as well. This little keepsake.
Yeah, that is I
Yeah,
can that is such a that's a huge thing because it feels like you have something that is tying you together. Um,
exactly.
it's just and the heart is really cute. I think that's like
Yeah.
it's a sweet little thing to kind of remember. And do you guys have that set up somewhere or
It's in our stuff. It's all on our nightstand, but it's
nice.
not like displayed. It's like in an envelope.
Oh, good.
So you can see the envelope, but you don't. It's not fully displayed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what else?
Now, I guess that also depends on your hospital, but I mean, if something like that happens during pandemic time and you can't really have your family come in the hospital to see your baby, then perhaps try to see if you can have them do a visitation at the funeral home or at the mortuary chapel if there's one. I mean, just try to. I mean, it's just what I mean by that is I think it's if you can include family and if you want to include family, then it's important to do it because that's also you only get the chance once. Your
Yeah.
baby is buried or cremated or whatever, and then that opportunity doesn't exist anymore. So you know um, I would say try to find solutions for that. At least for me, it was very nice for me to share her with family. I'd say especially my mom, because she was my daughter, and I'm my mom's daughters,
Yeah.
and we have kind of the same family layout. My mom had two boys and a girl, that was me, and then I had two boys, and then I had Clelia. So there's just something that echoes. So that was just very nice to be able to share
Oh, that is
um,
beautiful.
with her as well. Yeah.
Yeah, family, and I know that not everybody's choice is going to be that. 'Cause some people
Yeah. Sure.
don't feel as comfortable with, sharing,
Hmm.
but I would echo your sentiment is that I just like, I was so proud to show our son off, and so and to be able to share because it's just like, this is our family. This is our family. So,
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that. Okay, what other thing do you have?
We were very happy retrospectively that we did do a funeral service,
Mhm.
and that just because I think at first we were just like, what are we going to do? I mean, I mentioned in my testimony that I had to call the chapel prior, and I was just trying to try to think in my head, what am I going to want? Can we organize some sort of ceremony, like maybe a prayer at the chapel or whatever? I wasn't really sure. And in retrospect, I just think it's good that we did have some sort of service, and
Hmm.
I don't mean that you have to have like a burial. I think there's many ways to do this. You know, if you want to have ashes that that you spread somewhere in nature, that makes sense too. But just I would say to take the time to decide what right is right for you, and
Hmm.
what because that's also going to be something to really cherish, and also that's going to make you feel that as a parent, at least that's how I felt it. As a parent, I really honored my child. You know, I really treated my child. My child was stillborn, but I treated her exactly as if she, had been alive, and any other family member.
Yeah.
And that was important. That actually, my husband is the first one who suggested that, and said we have to treat her like any other family member, which is why we're going to give her a full funeral service, and a burial. And that was his idea at first. And I was like, I don't know, maybe we should have something a little more intimate and whatever. He pushed for that. And actually it was, in retrospect, I thought that was, a good thing that he pushed for it, because, I was happy that we did something that a right that made sense for us in the
Right.
end. And that also helped us acknowledge what was going on, and helped us share, our baby and our grief
Yes.
with our family. We were just able to share our grief with people who are close to us. And I think that's very important, because then afterwards you just go back to regular life, and, life carries on, and people are not going to talk to you about your baby every day. So there's just something about doing something, even if it doesn't, I'm not saying you have to invite 200 people, but just something that has a sense of sharing with others, I think
Yes.
is very helpful for them, for the grieving process. At least it was for me.
Yes.
And it's also an opportunity for other family members to be part of that story, and also, say farewell to her, and yeah, and be there and honor her as well, and, take their spot as an uncle, or as
Oh,
a grandma, or, just, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
It
think that's why I recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives some, like, significance, and I hadn't thought of this before, but when you said this, it struck me. I was like, "Yes," like, to be able to mourn together, to share the grief, that is huge, because people they're not going to know how catastrophic and devastating this was to your life, and to be able to sit and just, like, be together and grieve together, to cry together that you lost somebody as part of your family, that's really significant. So I'm so glad that you
Hmm.
said that. That was to share your grief together, however that looks, because some people are not going to understand how hard and difficult this was, and probably is for you, even now, 8 months later. I mean, of course, it's going to be
Hmm.
hard still, um, but yeah, that's a nice thought, to, like, have something to celebrate, have something to grieve together, and be together. Like that a lot.
Hmm.
I really like that a lot.
Yeah. What also really helped us, I think, is when we were going through all this, we were able to reach out. My cousin experienced something similar
Oh.
with his wife. The first child they had, there was also something very wrong at the anatomy scan, and they had to terminate the pregnancy
Mhm.
pretty much at the same time, around the same time as Clelia. And um, just speaking with them, and just sharing a lot about what the experience was for them and stuff, and was just very helpful. So if you have the opportunity to reach out to other, lost parents while you're going through something hard like this, I think is very helpful. I would say, as it's happening, if it's something, obviously for me, it was kind of a special case, because it was like a multi-layered grief, and,
Yes.
we had to we just didn't just find out she was stillborn. It was like, first she was sick, and then really sick, and then she passed away. So, but I mean, even if it's something less progressive than that, I would say, if you have the opportunity to speak with other lost parents, while it's happening, and also afterwards, I feel I didn't have there was no opportunity for me to join a group where you can share those
Yeah.
stories
Mhm.
afterwards, because of COVID. But for me, listening to Still a Part of Us, actually
Oh,
finding the podcast and listening to the stories, was a way for me to just connect to other lost parents, and just, just revisit every time my own story with Clelia and my own grief with Clelia, and and just be part of this community of parents who want to honor their deceased children was just very helpful to me. And just listening to those testimonies and crying with those parents, even though we're not really together. I mean, I'm still crying with them,
Yeah.
obviously not at the same time, but we know we're crying together. And I thought that was very helpful. So I would say, yeah, reaching out.
I agree.
I was also lucky enough to have my cousin is he's an OB in Wisconsin, and he was I had him on the phone quite a bit as everything was happening, and just asking for he was giving me medical advice, and also just because there's only so many things you can ask in the doctor's office.
Yes.
And then you step out of there and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and
I have like 20 other questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say if you're not as lucky as me to don't have an OB cousin, just call your doctor back and, get your, get everything you need to
Yes.
know and understand. Just, I mean, when you're in such a crisis with your pregnancy, I think, the doctors can take a extra few minutes to speak with you, I feel.
Yes.
So,
I agree. And
yeah.
I want to like just say, yes, please, please, please be an advocate for yourself, especially since you're just a lot of times we've heard so many stories where people are just like, I was in shock. I don't remember what people said because I was just so like, what happened? And like, I think to be an advocate for yourself, to like ask the questions and ask them over and over again if you need to, so you understand what's going on. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Maud, this was like so great. Do you have any last bit of advice that you would like to share with other lost parents?
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
I do.
please.
These are more things that I actually enjoyed hearing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
That people told me. These are things that people told me and that actually were very helpful. The first one is when I went to the mortuary chapel the first time. So that was probably the day after Clelia was born. I went to see her at the chapel with my kids. The lady in charge of the chapel, I remember she's that strong lady, and she took me in her big arms, and she said, so she hugged me and she said, "You are a good mom to your daughter."
Oh.
And she told me that you are a good mom to your daughter. And, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this feels, of course I cried in her arms, but I mean, just, the simple sentence, "You are a good mom to your daughter, even though she's dead, you're a good mom to her." There's just something, wow, that just, you said, because and what she meant afterwards, she probably explained a little bit, like, I can feel you love her and stuff. But I mean, just, saying that with such an assertive tone of voice was, I was like, wow, blown off my feet.
Oh, yeah. That gave me chills. I was like, you need that acknowledgement of like, I am still a mother, like to my baby, to my daughter. And and that you are a good mom. Like, I think that's so, that gave me chills. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. What else? What other things?
The second one was a friend. So she visited me after all this happened. So when she brought me some gifts, actually, which was very nice, like as if I had, given birth to a live baby. But she gave me, like a little bracelet, and then a plant, and just a few things, a few symbols. And then I told her my story, and she took me in her arms, and she said, "You experienced the worst thing a parent can go through, losing a child. So now you're invincible, Mode. You are invincible." I mean, obviously these words are not rational. Obviously I'm not invincible, but just that she said that, there was just something very, I don't know, just powerful, and that just felt good, to say that, even though obviously, that's not technically true, but, but you know what I mean? Like, you went through the worst thing and you're alive, so you're invincible. It's just that's these are words that I still have in my head to this day, and that give me, they give me, courage and power when I feel, demotivated or, sad. It's just like, wow, okay, this is Clelia's gift. So you're invincible, which obviously, I take that with a little, grain of salt, but
it's extremely validating to know that you're like, I did go through the worst thing that could happen to somebody, and I'm still here, it's rough some days, but I'm still here and you are invincible.
Yeah.
I think that's so like, yeah, like empowering words. Like what an,
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, is there anything else you would love to share? Because this has been really just your like some of these words have been like super, super helpful. I was like, oh yeah, I wish I would
Mm,
have known that too.
yeah. Yeah, the last thing I would like to say is that I'm just very happy she's on our family record book and that she has
Yeah.
her own birth certificate. I know that's not possible everywhere in the world, and
Yeah.
I think it's not possible to get a birth certificate in the States
Mhm.
at the moment for a stillbirth. But I do think where it is possible, it's a great thing to have because yeah, she's part of your history. It's always nice to have it on paper, and if you can't get a real official one, just I don't know, find a way to make make your own.
Yeah.
Just make something that feels official. Maybe or maybe you can draw. Have a drawing of your family made with her on it, or her if
Yeah.
it's a boy, and just you know if the officials won't have it, go get it, kind of, kind of
Yeah.
type of thing.
Do what you need to do
Yeah,
because she's part of your family.
yeah,
I totally agree. Family history is like super important to me too. So that I think
yeah,
that that is perfect. I love that she's part of your family records. I'm glad that she has a certificate of birth. I think that is beautiful. Yes, you're correct. In the United States, we cannot have that. We have like a
yeah,
certificate of stillbirth. So
yeah.
there is still a record of our son's stillbirth, but it's not a certificate of birth. So
Hmm.
but that's cool. Like make sure that they're part of your family, and that's on the record books too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Mode, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the advice, for the wisdom, and just such the powerful story of your sweet daughter. We're just so grateful for you.
Thank you. I was very happy to share her with everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.